I read an article about our cycles and how it affects our training, basically the ebb and flow and how some weeks were stronger than others. And it was fascinating. But is there any correlation with having PCOS and that affecting the training?
It definitely can. So PCOS, by definition, most women with PCOS are not having normal menstrual cycles. So they don't have a follicular phase or a luteal phase. And I have read that, you potentially have greater potential for building muscle in the follicular phase. And then in the luteal phase, the second half of the month, your metabolism is a little bit faster. That's often when you're most likely to experience cravings and potentially eat more. So you're maybe going to outeat that faster metabolism.
Maybe.
but with regular cycles, there are those effects. I don't know if there are anything that's going to be significant enough to to vary your training through the cycle based on that. Although if you're calorie cycling, then you may want to have more calories in the luteal phase compared to the follicular phase to sort of account for that. If you're not having regular cycles, then that doesn't apply. And the other thing about PCOS is you have higher testosterone levels. And so you may have greater potential to put on mass. And so, PCOS can definitely affect training. People with PCOS often feel like they have a harder time losing weight than people who don't have PCOS. And there's nothing about PCOS that physiologically changes. So the first law of thermodynamics still applies. And if they eat less than they burn, they will lose weight, just like anybody else. But sometimes you have insulin resistance with higher insulin levels, and I think these things may affect things like appetite, satiety, drive for food, that perhaps does make it harder to adhere to a controlled calorie diet. Metformin is actually my favorite way to treat PCOS. Some people treat it with birth control pills as first line, and that's not a wrong thing to do. I prefer to use metformin first line. We can also add birth control pills. In some people, I usually do it as a matter of preference. Like, is it important to you to have regular periods? Like, we can do that with birth control pills. Metformin alone may do that by just balancing your hormones, by treating the underlying insulin resistance that might be causing the higher testosterone levels. But I do think metformin can be very helpful to sort of balance things out in people with PCOS.